Alright, hello, welcome back to another video. It's your host, Rising Oblivion. Got something a little bit different here. We're going to be taking a look at the Japanese and the English version of Final Fantasy VII for the PS1. I got some original copies here. So we have the Japanese Final Fantasy VII and the English Final Fantasy VII, and there is an international version. There's also greatest hits versions of, I believe, the United States one, and I think maybe the Japanese one. I'm not entirely sure, but you can tell the difference by having like a red border opposed to a black one like we see here. This is the standard sort of US / I guess kind of just English release of the game, and then like I said, there is international versions. I don't really collect those. I could go over those in a future video, but I kind of want to just talk about the differences that we see here for both of these games. And it's not how things used to be. Back when, there used to be more differences with games. As you're going to tell, the cover is different. There's a more simplistic look for the Japanese version, where the English version has like that normal one that we see with Cloud in the front there. The remake that they did, that came out more recently, the first part of the remake, you actually kind of could choose which one you wanted to be the cover. You can actually reverse the actual case's sleeve to get the different covers here. I guess it kind of just depends which one you prefer, but yeah, the logo is just the same there. It's a little bit different. You could tell it's kind of more like cyan looking on the Japanese version, opposed to the sort of US / kind of English version of the game, but let's dive into this and talk a little bit about it. I think it's probably a little bit better if we go into the Japanese version first. So this is the Japanese Final Fantasy VII. And something cool about these older PlayStation games is sometimes you'd have multiple discs. These are both 3 discs each. So both of these have 3 discs. You'd have to swap discs once you reach a certain point in the game, which is pretty interesting. But you could tell the front and back are different in comparison to the US version. Get more details there, which is kind of interesting. You have like Red 13's whole bit there. Quite possibly the greatest game ever made by Game Fan Magazine, an epic across 3 CD-ROMs. Yeah, so let's jump a little more into this and go over the differences. And I like to do this just because we can kind of catalog the just history of how these games were. PlayStation, Final Fantasy, of course it's in Japanese for the Japanese one, who would have thought? Let's open this bad boy up. So you have the Final Fantasy VII Disc 1 with Cloud there kind of on the chocobo, and you'll notice that the actual booklet inside is what the art is on the English version. It is just kind of flipped, I guess. Instead of it being like like a black background, it's kind of like a white background. So let's take the booklet out, take a peek. What's cool about these cases is they have to cram, 3 discs in there to be able to do it all. And you got the Highwind there, all the different stuff, teaching you about the game, all that good jazz there in the booklet. And you'll notice that you can actually open a little further and have 2 more discs. So you have the Highwind there, and then of course you got the sort of regular logo there for the meteor. So that is what the Japanese one looks like. The cool thing is, I think the English one's actually a little bit better. I think it's a little more sought after. I think it's a little more expensive than the Japanese, and I guess we'll kind of show why. I think there's a little more to it. I think the cover having this whole thing here kind of sucks. I do like the simplistic stuff a little bit more when it comes to the games, but let's crack open the English version. Oh, it's a little different, isn't it? We have kind of more of a, I guess, simplistic list. You still have the chocobo with Cloud there, but if you take the disc off, you'll notice you have a little piece of art there with the booklet. So this is the booklet, and then just the back sort of case there. You get Aerith and the whole, Highwind ship and everything there, which is pretty cool. Let's take a peek at the booklet. It's the booklet. You can then open up the booklets and see that it also makes the full image there. but the booklet is a little different. As you can see, you have Cloud there and like the contents. You get actual character bio type stuff there for each of the characters. Tifa Lockhart, Barrett Wallace, Red, Sid. You get everybody kind of there. Different little art things, menu stuff, vehicles, machines. You just get a bit of kind of everything the game has to offer. Saga, Frontier, a little advert there. Coming soon from Squaresoft. Squaresoft, not Square Enix. They didn't quite make the jump just yet, but let's slide that bad boy back in there. And the disc as well. So, just like the Japanese one, we can go a little further and have 2 other discs. The interesting thing is the back is also detailed as well. We have Sephiroth there. I assume this is the Nibelheim situation. The disc does still have the similar thing with the high wind there, and then disc 3 does have the sort of meteor that we see. It's a little more hollow looking. It's kind of hard to see. I'm not even sure if the picture is like doing well enough here when it comes to you know, if you can see that. The recording might be not amazing when it comes to that, but that's the sort of differences that we have here for both of these games. Interesting thing is you don't have a PlayStation thing on the side. You don't even have a rating on the Japanese one. Isn't that kind of interesting? I don't know if maybe Japan just kind of doesn't care a whole lot about that. You don't need to worry about that. They just decided, you know, maybe they don't have to abide by certain laws when it comes to that. I'm not entirely sure. I think the outside of the Japanese version is better, while the inside of the English version is better. Having the actual high wind be the background, I do love the booklet in the Japanese one, but having there be like a nice piece of art all the way across, I think is just a little bit better, instead of having just sort of matte black across the whole thing. I assume they just made the English one later, maybe had a little more funding, realized the game was a banger, and in order to maybe make it sell better like Western audiences, they needed to try and do a little more to maybe make it sell. I'm not entirely sure what the thought process was, but we kind of have the differences there. We try and hold these up without damaging them. But yeah, for the most part, just been collecting them. I think the Japanese discs are better too. I think the ultimate version would be something like the insides of the English one. And what I mean by that is having the inside art when you open it up and everything. Being able to open up the disc, or open up the case, I mean, and have this entire thing here with the Final Fantasy, all of that. This just looks so nice, and I really like that. So I guess if I were to have to say, I like the Japanese one. Maybe just, I don't know, maybe just a teeny bit more overall, but I love the inside of the English one a lot more. But I don't like the English discs as much. I'd much rather have the sort of Japanese disc because of the better, I guess, logo and everything. It looks nice. I think it even maybe shines a bit more. Or does the English one even shine? Oop, the disc flopped out there. No, it doesn't. Interesting. You have no shine. This is more of like a modern logo, I feel like, for Final Fantasy with the underline and everything. No shine on the disc or anything. But for the Japanese version, you do. It's kind of like a holographic sort of thing there. Hopefully the camera could do it justice, which is interesting. So I think the Japanese discs are better. I think the outside of the Japanese is better, but I like the actual physical inside of the case itself on the English version. So if I could have a perfect version, I guess it'd be a mix of both of these kind of put together somehow. The English inside case, the Japanese discs, and maybe the Japanese outside. I'm not sure, but I think that's going to wrap things up here. So I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I've been collecting these, been trying to do videos on them. I have other Final Fantasy games I would like to try and make a few more videos like this going over them. I have some more vintage stuff I'd like to make some videos about and talk a bit about and kind of go over the history of them. This game did come out in 1997, I'm pretty sure, at least in Japan. I don't know if it'll actually say that on the cover or not. It might not. For Japan only, yes, right there, 1997, if it'll focus in. 1997. So, these are relatively old. They're as old as me, actually. Just as old as me. And you can see there at the bottom. It also has 1997, if she'll focus in. Final Fantasy VII, 1997, Square Co. So, I just like to preserve this stuff and have it be just kind of a part of history and make these videos to kind of celebrate the history, but also to sort of commemorate it and have it be something that someone could watch later or know about later, or if they don't know much about it, just to be able to see it and sort of play it themselves. That'd be cool. But I think that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already. That would be great. I do stream a lot of Final Fantasy games. You can catch me usually on the weekends streaming here on this channel, but that's going to do it for now. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye-bye.